Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what I like to call a highly requested survival manual. Because let's be real, if you're a parent, a caregiver, or just someone who occasionally hangs out with toddlers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that heart-dropping moment when a totally peaceful afternoon suddenly turns into a screaming, kicking meltdown, literally just because you peeled a banana the wrong way. Well, today we are unpacking a brilliant guide titled How to Fix Child Tantrums Without Yelling or Bribing. We're going to take this practical source text and transform it into a clear roadmap to help you navigate these emotional storms. Okay, let's just dive right in.
Listen to this quote from our source. The author says, "I used to yell, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know what else to do." Man, does that hit close to home? The author actually talks about finally snapping after the fourth tantrum of the morning, dealing with spilled cereal and that infamous crisis of a kid absolutely losing it because they got the blue cup instead of the red one. We have all been at that breaking point. But here's the crucial light bulb moment the author had. Yelling didn't stop the tantrums. It actually made them worse. The kids screamed louder, dug their heels in harder, and everyone just ended up in tears. So this explainer is all about finding that alternative route, a route that actually works and doesn't leave you swimming in a pool of parenting guilt.
So, to get us out of that cycle, we're going to walk through a chronological toolkit today. We'll cover the breaking point, decoding the meltdown, the prevention first approach, navigating the storm, setting healthy boundaries, and finally, repairing after the storm. Let's jump right into step 1. Number 1, the breaking point. Honestly, to stop the yelling, we absolutely have to change how we look at the tantrum itself. It requires a massive paradigm shift. Our source offers this fascinating reframing. A tantrum isn't just bad behavior. It's actually your child's nervous system short-circuiting due to emotional overload. Just think about that for a second. The kid isn't trying to manipulate you. Their brain is literally crashing. Why? Usually because they're exhausted, they're hungry, or they just feel completely out of control. They don't have the vocabulary yet to tell you what they need. When you reframe a tantrum from being this combative battle to being a signal of a short circuit, your entire approach naturally changes from being defensive to being supportive. Section 2, decoding the meltdown. So once we know it's a signal, the very next thing we've got to do is figure out what triggered it in the first place. Our guide outlines some hidden triggers that most of us completely miss. First up, transitions. This is moving from one thing to another without warning. To a toddler, being told to suddenly drop their toys and get in the car, it feels like an absolute ambush. Then, there's giving them too many choices. We think we're being nice, right? But giving open-ended freedom to a kid who isn't developmentally ready just creates massive anxiety. Third is parent stress. This one's a little tough to hear, but kids are basically little sponges. They feel our tension and just mirror it right back to us. And finally, a lack of routine. The more unpredictable their day is, the more their nervous system feels unsafe. And boom, meltdown.
Which brings us to section 3, the prevention first approach. Because once we know those triggers, we can actually defuse the bomb before the timer even starts ticking.
According to our source, most tantrums can actually be squashed before they even begin. Check out these super simple prevention tactics. First, warn them before transitions. Just casually saying, "Hey, 5 more minutes, then bath time," gives their little brains time to adjust. Second, lean hard into routines. Kids absolutely thrive on knowing exactly what's coming next. Third, instead of total freedom, just offer limited choices. Ask, "Do you want the red shirt or the blue shirt?" You're giving them a sense of control without totally overwhelming them. And lastly, plan those snacks. Our source notes that simple hunger is behind way more tantrums than you'd ever think. A well-timed snack is basically tantrum insurance. I mean, never underestimate the power of a preemptive string cheese, right?
But hey, let's be real. Even with the absolute best prevention, toddlers are gonna toddler. The storm is eventually gonna hit. And when it does, section 4, navigating the storm. When the screaming starts, your own body goes into fight or flight. Your heart races, you want to yell, and your instinct is just to shut the noise down immediately. But here's the emergency checklist from our source to stop yourself from losing it. I want you to mentally bookmark these. Step 1, breathe. Literally count to 3 in your head before you even open your mouth. Step 2, lower your voice. This is a brilliant psychological trick. It actually forces them to quiet down just to hear you. Step 3, step back physically. Just give yourself an inch of space before you engage. And step 4, repeat a calming phrase to yourself. And what exactly should that calming phrase be? Memorize this right here. This is communication, not defiance. Just say it over and over. When you remind yourself that your kid is simply struggling to communicate a need and not actively plotting to ruin your day, you unlock this radical empathy that actually lets you stay calm. Okay, so you're calm.
Now what? Mid-meltdown, your child's logical brain is completely offline. So whatever you do, don't lecture, don't argue logic, and definitely don't threaten them with no TV. They literally cannot process it. Instead, you want to stay close, stay calm, and just use really short, simple phrases.
Our source actually recommends leaning on really simple phrases like, "I'm here, you're safe." Get right down to their eye level. You want to offer empathy before you even try to offer solutions. You might say something like, "You're so upset we can't go outside." It shows them you're totally on their side. And when kids actually feel seen, that desperate need to throw a tantrum just naturally begins to drop.
Now, I can hear some of you thinking, wait a minute, if I just sit there and empathize, aren't I just giving in? Where's the discipline? It's a super common misconception. That brings us to Section 5, setting healthy boundaries.
Empathy absolutely does not mean throwing out the rules. Boundaries are completely necessary, but they don't have to be loud or scary to work. Our guide offers this simple 3-step script. First, calmly state what's not okay. We don't hit. Second, redirect that energy. You can stop your feet on the floor instead. And third, follow through calmly, every single time.
And that brings us to one of the most profound takeaways from this entire document. Consistency builds safety. Kids don't push limits because they're being bad. They push limits to see if the walls are still holding up. They need to know that you are strong enough to keep them safe when their own emotions feel terrifyingly out of control. So by following through calmly every single time, you're building that architectural safety for their developing minds. Eventually, the storm runs out of rain. The crying stops, the breathing slows down. But our job isn't quite done yet. Section 6, repairing after the storm. Once it's totally over, reconnection is non-negotiable. Here's how you do it. First, offer some physical reconnection, like a hug. Next, talk about it, but keep it really brief. Just something like, "You were really mad when we had to leave the park." Finally, intentionally end on a positive note. Read a quick book, draw together, or just cuddle. You're not rewarding bad behavior here. You're teaching them a massive life lesson. Conflict does not break your relationship. You can have a hard time and still be unconditionally loved right after.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground, from understanding that brain short circuit all the way to post-storm repair. Let's boil this entire toolkit down into immediate, practical action steps you can use right now.
Here are 5 things you can literally start doing today. Number 1, identify your specific kid's top 3 triggers. Is it hunger? Is it transitions? Pinpoint them. Number 2, start giving a 5-minute warning before every single transition today. Number 3, practice naming feelings out loud, even when they're perfectly happy, so they build that vocabulary. Number 4, commit to lowering your voice instead of raising it the next time things get tense. And number 5, make it a hard rule to physically reconnect after every conflict, no matter how small.
I really want to leave you with this final, incredible thought from our source material. Tantrums aren't proof you're failing. They're proof your child is learning how to handle big emotions, and you're their guide. When you choose calm over control, connection over bribes, you're teaching skills that last far beyond the toddler years. That really shifts the whole perspective, doesn't it? So here's my question for you. If we can master this emotional regulation for our toddlers today, how might it completely transform our relationship with them when those teenage storms eventually roll in? Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Take these tools, give them a try, and I'll see you next time.